the Bible nor Jesus ever told you that you are your brother's keeper. And if the Bible didn't say that and it didn't come from heaven, who in hell told you that?
You're quacking like ducks and walking like ducks. If you add that all up, it must be a duck. You're pressing your luck, man. People ain't stupid. What you say is just the lyrics. What you do is the music.
Marcus V. Brown here again. Listen, today we're gonna just jump right in. I just listen to so many people, and I watch so many people. They love church. They love all of the church culture. They love all the things about it. They even like to quote scriptures. But it amazes me how so many people quote scriptures, and I don't think they've ever even read them. I don't think they consider what it means, what it says. This particular scripture that we're dealing with right here, I hear a lot of people say it all the time, say, you're supposed to be your brother's keeper. You know, and I'm like, well, where you get that from? It's from the Bible. Where? And they get it from Genesis. We'll hear somebody preach on it and on and on and on, and people will just copy that and copy that. And sometimes I wonder if we've ever even read the Bible itself. So in this passage, Genesis 4:8, and in Genesis 4:8 says, and Cain talked with Abel, his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him and killed him. And not only did he kill him, God came and he talked to him. And God said in Genesis 4:9, God said, and the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? Now, right there, he was not saying that I'm supposed to keep up with him. Do I supposed to keep up with him? He was like getting kind of like getting smart with God. He was just being defiant. And God asked, where your brother at? He was like, I don't know. I ain't his babysitter. That's what he was really like saying. It was not a command from God saying you're supposed to be your brother's keeper. You're supposed to just keep your eye on him everywhere he goes. That's not what that scripture says. But we've taken that scripture and made it meant something else. I'm not saying that we don't supposed to look out for the well-being of our brother, our neighbor, and even the sinner, even our enemy. But what I am saying is that the scripture did not command us from that scripture, and that's what we usually quote. We are brother's keeper. And so what we usually do, we have people that'll just superimpose them and just say anything, take it out of context. They've never read the Bible, I believe, or they've never stopped and read it in its entirety. Like they only just read that one line and then they'll go off and make a message and start teaching. But if that didn't come from heaven and that didn't come from the scripture, why would someone teach it in that manner? Am I my brother's keeper? Well, I don't know where he at. I mean, what you think I am? His babysitter or something like that? Just reading that scripture, that passage, and this, you can read before it, you can read after it. It's not saying that Cain was supposed to be responsible for Abel. What was happening here, God asked him where he was because he already knew what he's done. And he tried to act as if he was innocent. So he said, I don't know where he at. That's his alibi. I don't, how am I supposed to know where he at? I'm not his keeper. I'm not his babysitter. Now, again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't care for our fellow man. The Bible teaches us that clearly. Jesus teaches that clearly. We're supposed to love our neighbor as we love ourselves, love our brother, love our sister, love our enemies. But we're not responsible for them beyond, a certain reason. We're supposed to love them. We're even supposed to tell people the truth, try and correct people and help them if possible. But if they don't want to listen to what we have to say, then their blood is not on our hands. The scripture has never commanded us that we are to be our brother's keeper. We have so many people try and what I call like a soul police. They think that you have to actually police other people. People don't make their mind up to follow the Lord, to serve the Lord. There's nothing we really can do. And if people don't want, to believe what you want to believe, there's nothing you can do. So you can't hide behind a pole. You can't just be at somebody's face all the time trying to keep up with them, even if they fall. And we don't want that to happen. But this scripture here bothers me a little bit because, and not just this one, others like it where people take out of context and they'll use these scriptures to say something that the Bible didn't say in that way, in that context. And they'll use they'll take a verse out and they'll use it to make their point. But if you can do that, even if you're trying to do it for a good reason, think about somebody can do it for a bad reason. And I believe this is how false doctrine and false teaching get slipped into the church, because we take scriptures out of context like this and it doesn't say that. So I just always wonder, if this didn't come from the Bible, it didn't come from God, it didn't come from heaven, what part of hell did it come from? Now, I'm not saying again that we shouldn't care for each other, because the Bible clearly tells us that we should do that we should love our neighbor as we love ourselves. But when people take the scripture out of context, they can actually make you believe anything. I think it's a technique to manipulate and to take advantage of the believer. If we'll listen to anything that the scripture don't say and we'll take it as scripture, we can easily be manipulated. So when you see scriptures like this, people use them out of context, or you see this particular scripture, somebody using it in the way that you're supposed to be your brother's keeper, I just want you to ask yourself this one thing. If it didn't come from heaven, who in the hell taught that? What I want to do here is to just make us look at the scripture in context, because this is one way where false teaching gets slipped into the church and people can teach all manner of things. So from here on out, we want to look at the scripture and keep it in context. We want to look at the scripture and take it for what it says. We won't add anything to it, and we won't take anything from it. If it didn't come from God, if it didn't come from the Bible, if it didn't come from heaven, why? And who in hell taught you that?
I write hits, man. When I spit, it's like throwing hot grits. Assassinator, you can call me the hit man.